Chapter 10 Fontainebleau. James Bond, with 2 double bourbons inside him, sat in the final departure lounge of Miami Airport and thought about life and death. Ian Fleming, opening line from his novel Goldfinger. The next step in the Castro assassination plot took place at the Fontainebleau, a bold white hotel stretched along Miami Beach. In the early 1960s, it seemed an ideal setting for both Hollywood spy fantasies and real-life mobsters. Opening scenes for the movie Goldfinger, based on Ian Fleming's novel about secret agent James Bond, featured brassy music and a sweeping shot of the Fontainebleau's outdoor pool. Frank Sinatra also filmed scenes for movies at the Fontainebleau and broadcast a live 1960 TV extravaganza, Welcome Home Elvis, from the hotel.
And I love you so, those fingers in my hair, I come hither stare.
That same year, the Fontainebleau hosted another odd pairing. Far from the media's glare, Johnny Roselli and Sam Giancana became freelance spies in the service of the Central Intelligence Agency, volunteer conspirators against Fidel Castro. Their late September 1960 meeting took place when Roselli told Robert Maier and their CIA handler, Jim O'Connell, to meet him at the hotel. The Fontainebleau was a sentimental favorite for Giancana. A year earlier, as the father of the bride, Sam hosted 200 people in a huge reception at the hotel for the marriage of his daughter, Bonnie. A string orchestra and red-coated waiters in white gloves attended to this affair. Sam was a constant visitor to the hotel. Quote, Giancana was on location during the entire filming of the movie, A Hole in the Head, where they stayed at the Fontainebleau, the FBI reported about that 1959 Sinatra film. Inside the Fontainebleau's large showroom, or its lounge known as the Boom Boom Room, the name Giancana was golden, whispered as a close friend of Sinatra. Quote, people would fall over themselves to make sure he, Sam, had a ringside table and was ushered back to see the entertainers, recalled Giancana's oldest daughter, Antoinette. In fact, it was at the Fontainebleau where Sam introduced me to Frank Sinatra in his suite. Giancana didn't use his real name when he first met Maier, the CIA's go-between. In the Boom Boom Room, Roselli introduced his pal to Maier as Sam Gold, one of Giancana's favorite aliases. Johnny also used a phony cover name for this trip, John Ralston. Maier was impressed with Sam Gold, though none the wiser about the true identity of Roselli's pal. Quote, he didn't come off as thuggish, Maier recalled about this Sam Gold introduction. You could tell he wanted attention, and he got it. When he walked down the hallway, you could just sense his power. He didn't have to say a word. It was just how he carried himself. During the conversation with Maier, Giancana nodded at another figure in the room. He called him Joe, who also knew the Cuban crowd. In fact, it was Santo Traficante Jr., the high-level Florida mob boss who had worked with Johnny and Sam in running Cuba's now-closed Sans Souci casino. Joe joined their table. He was introduced as someone who could serve as a courier to Cuba and make arrangements there. Inside a Fontainebleau suite, the CIA's representatives and Johnny's mysterious friends talked discreetly about the ways of murdering Castro. Maier said his agency bosses thought a mob-like rub-out was best, a blood-splattering public event that would shatter Cuba's allies and rally the Cuban exiles looking to restore a U.S.-friendly government. Sam Gold nixed that idea. Gunfire would be too messy he argued, too difficult to find an assassin willing to commit to what would surely be a suicide mission. Instead, Giancana proposed a potent pill which could be placed in Castro's food or drink. The two mobsters pushed hard for something lethal that could be done without any fanfare. They didn't want a thing like an ambush or shootout or anything like that, O'Connell later recalled. They wanted it to look like the guy just passed away from natural causes. In other words, a scenario similar to poor Mr. Lucky, who dropped dead at the Stardust from a presumed Mickey Finn. With this pharmaceutical approach, there would be no fingerprints on a murder weapon. All involved could deny their culpability. Sam and Johnny seemed confident a Cuban spy, probably one they knew from the old days in Havana's underworld, could be recruited for this subtle but lethal task. The CIA's two ambassadors at the Fontainebleau, Maier and O'Connell, were agreeable to the scheme. They promised final approval after they returned to Washington and debriefed their higher-ups. Trafficante said little, if anything, at this meeting, but the longtime Florida hitman noted the government's eagerness to exterminate the Marxist in Havana. Quote, "The thing that I got is that anything that could have been done to assassinate Castro or eliminate his associates or overthrow the government of Cuba, short of an atomic bomb, everything was permissible," Trafficante recalled. Maier claimed he had no idea of the true identities of Johnny's two acquaintances or their mafia prominence. That day at the Fontainebleau, Maier was the only one who used his real name. The CIA handler O'Connell continued to use his own cover name as Jim Olds, which Johnny found tiresome. While playing cribbage near the beach, Johnny urged the CIA spy to come clean. "Look, Jim, I know who you are," Roselli said, showing his cards. "You are not kidding me. You are with the Central Intelligence Agency. I don't want you to confirm that." At that moment, O'Connell didn't give up his phony moniker, nor did Maier offer the real identity of Jim Olds. "You don't have to tell me if it is true," Roselli whispered in a smoky baritone. "I understand your situation. But I am very happy that is the situation, because I really didn't have any heart in it unless I was convinced that this was the U.S. government." Then Johnny confessed to the CIA man, as he did earlier with Maier, how much he felt he owed America. This spy mission would be his payback. There wouldn't be any disposal fee by Roselli and his friends for getting rid of the Cuban leader, and they would pay their own expenses at the Fontainebleau or any place this conspiracy would take them. He, Roselli, never took a nickel, recalled O'Connell, the CIA handler. He said, "No, as long as it is for the government of the United States, that is the least I can do."